Welcome back, everyone. We are doing another episode of Indie Reads Aloud. You already know, after 200 and some odd episodes and 4 years of this insanity, how much I love to bring you new to me authors to discover their books. But I gotta tell you, it's a bigger joy for me almost to have old friends come on the program. And today, T.L. Shively, who is an author I've known for several years. We've done events together and all kinds of fun things. T.L. Shively is on the program today. Hi, T.L.
Hi, how are you, hon?
I'm awesome. I'm so glad you could make the program. I've been hoping for a while that you could do this with me, so I'm
Oh,
super
thank you.
excited. Super excited. For
Woohoo.
those of you who haven't met T.L. Shively at one of the many events around Michigan, let me just tell you a little bit about her. T.L. Shively grew up in the country most of her life, so a healthy imagination was needed to combat the boredom. Her imagination got her through many trying times in her life and also brought her the Sanctuary Guardians series to life. She loves anything fantasy, whether it be gaming, crafting, reading, or writing. She lives with her husband, youngest son, and fur baby. Okay, what variety of fur baby would this be?
This would be a dog, and he's
Got
a
it.
rescue dog. So
So he's a rescue. And what's his name?
his name is Woody.
Woody. Shout out to Woody. We love animals on the program. She and her husband also have two other sons who live off on their own, like grown-ups. She's written 9 YA novels so far, with many more on the way. She won an award for her YA fantasy, The Town That Time Forgot, at the Once Upon a Time Book Festival in Frankenmuth, Michigan in 2019. That had to be a thrilling adventure for you. I've been to that event as a participating author, and that gets a lot of fun. I mean, holy moly.
Yes,
So specifically, which award did you win for that book?
best book cover,
Oh, very cool. Very,
and
very cool.
that is one of my favorite book covers.
It is a fun cover. I will
Yes,
admit
I
that.
like dragons, so
Anybody who wants to see it, hop over to the show notes and you can find TL's website link there, and you can go and check out her other books too. Okay, so you're writing YA fantasy, and this book that you're going to be reading from tonight is Spider's Awakening, and this is book one of the trilogy, right?
correct. Book one of
Okay,
my spiders trilogy.
awesome. So, spiders, you're not actually writing about spiders, are you?
No, I've actually kind of got a little healthy fear of spiders, and when I created the character from this, it was a challenge to myself because she has a pet spider.
Got it. I
Yes.
I completely understand how that could be a challenge.
Yes.
Absolutely. So, give us a little bit of backstory. What is this novel all about?
This novel, well, when I'm at events, I tell everybody it's got Greek gods, Greek goddesses, Atlanteans, and aliens all wrapped into one story.
That's a busy book.
That is a busy book. And the main character, Calista, she has a pet spider she has named Scratch. And this is her journey, discovering who she is and learning who she is compared to who she thought she was at the beginning of the book.
So, give me an understanding of the world in which this story takes place. Is this the Greek god world of Atlantis, or the Mount Olympia, or did you create something brand new for this cast of characters?
Well, in Spider's Awakening, it starts out in the Greek world, Greek gods world. You're there, and then she goes down to Atlantis,
Got it.
and it's my version of Atlantis with my version of the Atlantean gods because I could not find an actual ones about the Atlantean gods, so I had
Okay.
to make up
Well,
my
yeah.
own.
Well, it is a lost society, so it's not like they have a lot of books in the library.
I know.
It's very disappointing.
Yes.
Okay. I am super excited to hear you read from Spider's Awakening tonight. I'm looking forward to this. This is a series I haven't heard yet. So I really like this wonderful mashup that you've given me because I know you as a friend, but this is a brand new book. So
Yes.
I'm super excited. So when you are ready, T.L. Shively, please take the microphone, read aloud from Spider's Awakening.
Thank you. All right, I'll start at chapter 1. Clang, clank. The swords clashed and sparks flew, hitting the walls of the temple as Calista, the daughter of Ares and Arachne, battled her cousin Discord. It was supposed to be training. Of course, Calista learned long ago that her cousins cared nothing for training. They used these trainings as a way to get back at her for slights they felt she had done to them, and Discord was the worst. What had she done to them? Clunk, clang. She refused to cower from their bullying and would stand up to them, even if it meant she ended up sporting a bruise or two. It didn't help that Zeus seemed to favor her as well, which wasn't as impressive as one would think. It wasn't like he would stand up for her or protect her from her father's wrath, although he did take pity on her and give her a best friend. Discord and strife still haven't forgiven her for that small act of kindness, and Ares was always making sure to bring that up. He seemed to enjoy creating animosity between them, never letting Calista forget that he favored discord and strife over her. Thud. She landed on her ass as Discord landed a well-placed hit and sneered down at her with her sword raised for the killing blow. Not that Discord could truly kill her. They were both goddesses, after all, and no mere sword could kill them. Discord loved to humiliate her with the knowledge that she had bested her. The blow never came. The room lit up in red as Ares entered, sneering down at Calista, still on the ground. I see nothing has changed. Still weak as ever, daughter. He never called her by name, just daughter. Nor did he say it in a loving manner. Rather, he always said it with disgust in his voice. She believed, as many others did, that it was the fact that she had Zeus's favor that kept him from doing anything to get rid of her. She knew her father hated her. She just never knew why. Discord sneered as she resheathed her blade, then shimmered right next to Ares, her eyes simpering up at him in adoration. She will never be the daughter you deserve, Lord Ares. While most of the gods and goddesses like to wear the white robes with either golden accessories or colored materials, Ares walked around in black leather trousers and vest adorned with silver, mean-looking spikes, and other deadly-looking adornments. Discord and Strife, of course, had to emulate their mentor and wore outfits that complemented Ares. Calista, on the other hand, chose to go the brown leather route. She refused to wear the white robes of the others, but neither did she care to mimic the two before her. Discord, with her sycophant obsession with Ares, made it hard for Calista to contain an eye roll. Something her father was quick to notice. Have something to say, daughter? His eyes narrowed on her and her small act of rebellion. Something he couldn't let go unchallenged. He wanted her subservient to him in all aspects. She loved to deny him that. She looked up at him, holding her head high. Nothing, Lord Ares. While he only called her daughter, he refused to let her call him father. I didn't think so. Ares turned from her then, as if she was no longer a concern, which she knew was exactly what he meant. Discord, I have something I want you to do. Discord was practically floating on air at his words. Anything for you, Lord Ares. Calista wanted to puke as she watched the exchange. You could learn a lot from Discord, daughter. Ares sneered at her, but she said nothing. Years of her father's contempt for her taught her to speak little when in his presence, which she kept as minimal as possible. Ares stopped and turned his gaze directly onto her, his eyes narrowing at her. How she hated him, how she longed to be free of him. If only it were that easy. What are you still doing here? His words were full of contempt. She knew better than to point out to him about his own rule of her never leaving without his permission. Another painful lesson she refused to repeat. So, rather than point out the duplicity of his words, she just shimmered out. but not before she saw the satisfaction in Discord's eyes. The water crashed against the stone below with such force, she wondered how the cliff could withstand it without breaking. A gentle brush against her cheek had her smiling at her companion, her constant companion. She lifted a finger to rub Scratch on the top of his head. Hey there, little guy. Wondered when you would show yourself. Were you out playing with your friends during my beat down with Discord? She kissed his head. He wasn't allowed in Ares' temple. Another reason Calista stayed away from there as much as she could. A not so common spider who befriended her as a child. With her mother being Arachne, it shouldn't have been surprising that she took to the eight-legged outcast. Just like her, they were very misunderstood. Such gentle creatures who had so many benefits, benefits everyone wanted to enjoy as long as they stayed in the shadows. Discord and strife had killed Scratch when they saw how close Calista had become to him. Her grandfather found her with silent tears as she mourned the loss of her only friend. With one touch, Zeus had brought the little guy back to life and granted him immortality. The only act of kindness Zeus bestowed upon her, but it was enough to give the other gods and goddesses who hadn't already hated her their reason. To them, that act meant she had the favor of Zeus, something they all wanted but never realized how little it actually meant. Zeus was the epitome of what it meant to be a god. He only acted if it either amused him or if it affected him in any way. Since that day, Scratch had never left her side for long, and no one dared to try to kill the little guy either. They feared incurring the wrath of Zeus. Discord and strife were careful in their tormenting her after that. Of course, there were others that weren't so lucky. But Calista tried to not think of the very few friends she had made over the years, human mainly, that had fatal accidents befall them. Scratch wasn't your common, everyday spider. Brown and hairy, he fit into Calista's palm with big green eyes. He was also her best friend and only protector in this land. The reason he was banished from Ares' temple was due to him attempting to protect her from her father's wrath. Ares had returned defeated from battle and, as usual, had decided to take it out on Calista. This time, Scratch leapt at the war god to protect his mistress. Ares was so angered that he shot an energy bolt at the spider, grinning with malice at the charred heap of hair. Ares wasn't grinning when Scratch pushed up on his 8 hairy legs and shook the black suit off of him. Whether it was the fact the spider survived his wrath or the fact that Calista now had a champion, she didn't know. But Ares forbade the spider in his temples. So, now Scratch always waited for her whenever she was summoned to Ares' temple. Friends weren't something she was allowed to have. Gods and goddesses didn't understand the concept of friends. Mortals were only valuable if they amused them or if they were of use to them. And if it suited them, they would turn on you. She discovered that at a very young age. Apollo may make the mortal girls and many of the minor goddesses swoon, but Calista had his number. He was a ruthless, out-for-himself weasel. Once, long ago, Calista was one of those doe-eyed girls fawning over the golden child. So hungered for any attention, she believed Apollo when he implied a fondness for her. It was almost too late when she discovered Discord and Strife had made a bet with Apollo that he couldn't trick her into taking away Scratch's immortality. When it came to challenges of any kind, the gods and goddesses of Greece refused to lose. Apollo had tricked her into taking Scratch down to Tartarus, speaking of a fountain deep down in the bowels of Tartarus that would give Scratch the ability to speak. While she could communicate with Scratch, Apollo had attempted to talk to Scratch, finding out that he didn't have the same ability. Apollo had seemed so forlorn when he couldn't communicate with the spider that it made Calista want to make it possible. So, promising Apollo that she would make his wish come true, she picked up Scratch tenderly and shimmered out, intending to go to this fountain. The only thought was of having a friend that could share her love of spiders. After all, creatures weren't as frightening if only they were able to communicate. The only thing that had saved her was the fact that she forgot the tablet on which Apollo had etched the location of the fountain. Shimmering quickly back, she stared in horror at the sight in front of her. Apollo, Discord, and Strife were there, lifting their goblets in a toast as they laughed loudly and speaking of how crushed she would be when she realized the fountain had nothing to do with giving Scratch the ability to speak. It was Discord's words that had her seeing red. I wish I could be down there to see the horror on the face of the blonde twit when she realizes the fountain actually takes away immortality. Her laughter had Calista's teeth clenching. But it was Apollo's words that sent Calista over the edge as he raised his goblet to his lips. Not only that, but that gruesome creature will wither right in front of her. He grinned as he took another drink. How she could think that I would want to communicate with such a disgusting thing is beyond me. She only has herself to blame. That day they learned of the true power Calista carried within her, a power Ares had always refused to allow her to show. A power that had all three of them running away in terror and also that kept Apollo away from her since. Discord and Strife claimed she had made them see hallucinations, while Apollo stayed silent about that night. From that day forward, she was known as the Goddess of Insanity, a title she truly didn't care for, and one that put her on the goddess Lyssa's bad side, the true Greek goddess of insanity. She still had no idea what she had done, or even how she had done it. Although it doesn't matter since that was the one and only time her powers showed themselves. What are you doing so far from home? Alistair, Calista spoke without turning to greet the god. Alistair was one who enjoyed her company, or so he said. She rarely trusted the word of a god or a goddess anymore. Her blonde hair flowed behind her in the wind, something that would look epic if Aeolus hadn't decided to make the wind change direction so that her hair ended up slapping across her face. She tried swiping it away with an angry hand. But Aeolus wasn't done playing around, and with a growl, she flopped backward. Do you understand someone wanting some space? Not really. Alistair walked over and sat next to her, his legs dangling over the edge of the cliff. Why would someone want space? There is space everywhere. Calista stared up into the sky above, hoping if she ignored him, he would leave. Most of the gods and goddesses either ignored her or delighted in tormenting her. Then there was Alistair. Family quabbles again? Don't you mean squabbles? Calista watched Scratch, who was walking on top of her, but keeping one of his many eyes on Alistair. The little guy didn't trust Alistair any more than Calista did. Nope, quabbles. Alistair sat there waiting for her answer. She gave a deep sigh. Alistair, there isn't a god or goddess or even mortal in all of Greece that doesn't know of Ares' hatred of me. Her mother may not hate her, but she never cared for her either. Actually, her mother acted as if she didn't exist. Funny, Alistair spoke, staring out at the sea. Calista waited to see if he would explain what he meant. But after a few moments of silence, she prompted him. What is funny? Alistair looked at her then. Thought you wanted space. She really wanted to strangle him, and if she actually thought it would work, she would give it a try to see if it actually shut him up. Either say what you want or leave me in peace, old man, she growled. If she had dared call any of the other gods old man, they would have been ready to toss her into Hephaestus' forges. I am the god of family feuds. Calista nodded. She already knew this, and I am sure you get much enjoyment from my family. That's just it. I get nothing from the feud between you and Ares or even Arachne. He looked at her with a tilt to his head. Wonder why that is. Calista snorted. Not bloody enough for you? Alistair paused and shook his head slowly. That isn't it. I love any feud. Calista stood, not in the mood for riddles anymore. Well, I don't know what to tell you. I have no desire to examine why my family feud has no thrill for you. I have no desire to even think about it at all. With that said, she shimmered away. And there we go, chapter 1.
Okay, I am totally in love with Calista. I absolutely love her. She's fantastic.
Well, thank
I
you.
I'm gonna go put this book on my TBR, and then when I see you next, you can sign it for me.
You got it.
So, we were talking in the green room a little bit about how you really don't count spiders as some of your favorite creatures. So,
No.
what was it that made you? Because I have this mortal fear about snakes. I would never write about snakes. So, I'm wondering, what was it that got you to create a character out of a spider and then give that spider so much screen time with your heroine?
Honestly, and I mean, my husband would, he likes spiders and he thinks it's funny. He's always there to help me, but he laughs at it and,
Sure.
because I freak out. And when I was making characters, I can't even tell, I didn't think Calista would ever get any further than what she did. It was just a character I was creating, and I said, you know what, try one. And I thought, because I love Greek mythology, you'll find it in my writing. I just
Yeah.
love it, and I've always loved it. But I just thought, daughter of Ares and Arachne, and she'd have to have a pet spider. And it was really a personal challenge to myself just to see if I could do it because I have never thought of spiders as anything other than get away from me, get out the flamethrower, I'm
Yeah.
gone.
Yeah. Flamethrower. That's how I feel about snakes. Absolutely.
Yes,
Well, I commend you for taking on that challenge, and it sounds like you did it really well. I mean, he sounds like a cute, fuzzy little guy that I want to hang out with. So I'm really intrigued to see how his character arc develops in this series. That's super fun. I'm always the one who is drawn toward the subplot characters more than the main plot characters.
I am too.
But there's
They usually end up
there's
being my most favorite.
so this is book one. Tell us a little bit about where book two takes us in this series
All
without
right.
spoiling book one, if you can do that.
That's what I'm trying to, I can tell you book two actually takes them more into the future. It's, pretty much around this time. And she actually goes into space.
Oh, that'll be fun.
So, and
A
I'm not sure if
girl
you,
and her pet spider go to space. I can
yes,
see that being very entertaining.
yep, she does go to space. I'm not gonna ruin anything. I will say scratches in the books.
Good,
And
because now I like him. He has to stay in the books now.
yes, he is. You'll see him.
I'm just curious. How did he get his name? Because the name Scratch for a spider is kind of that's an interesting thing that you did there. So, how did you give him his name?
Actually, when I first created him, he didn't really have a name. And I was just, like I said, playing around with her. She wasn't really even have that story. It was just playing around. I was in like a writing group with others. We were creating characters, but he kept always scratching her neck, you know, get her attention. He'd scratch her little neck with his little claws. And no, I don't know what legs.
Fingers.
Yes. But he got called Scratch.
I think that's fantastic. How lovely. I am so looking forward to reading this book and then the series. I know book three is currently in
In the
production,
works.
so we can look forward to that as well. But we've got a little bit of time to read book one and two. Will you come
Yes,
back on the program again and read from book two for me?
I sure will. I'd love to.
That would be fantastic. And I'd love to
Yes.
have you on to read all of your other amazing stories as well. I think we're going
Love
to
it.
have a good time sharing you with the world.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and we'll see you next time on the program.
You got it. Thank you so much. I appreciate this.
So welcome.